What a great way to start the morning. Well, it's 6 p.m. here, but it's morning for me because I just woke up. Finding out that YouTube is going to ban more things. Apparently, the verdict reports that YouTube will ban any content containing medical advice that contradicts the World Health Organization on the virus. But this begs the question, what if I contradict the organization itself? I mean, it is a political controversy going on right now. The US president has decided to suspend funding from the World Health Organization. I have seen Romanian politicians criticizing it. I have seen the Japanese prime minister criticizing it. So if I were to criticize the organization in itself, nothing to do with the virus, but I talk about, let's say, some of the corruption, and I disagree that they do not want to give Taiwan membership. Is that going to put my channel in bad standing? I mean, I don't know. I understand that the YouTube CEO says that Google-owned video streaming platform would be removing information that is problematic. She told the host Brian Shelter that this would include anything that is medically unsubstantiated. So people taking vitamin C, take turmeric will cure you. Those are examples of things that would be in violation of the policy. Anything that would go against the World Health Organization recommendations would be a violation of our policy. While the decision has been welcomed by many, some have accused the streaming giant of censorship. Now, let's assume that only major misinformations would be banned. But things that are controversial, like me talking against the idea that Taiwan doesn't get membership, would be allowed. The question is, do the YouTube censors know that? Like, does the guy working at an office in YouTube, which is supposed to curate hundreds of videos a day, is he going to make the difference? Because here's the thing, like, I have seen Fox News and other authoritative sources already talk about the WHO, like Tucker Carlson had the segment. And I have also seen Steven Crowder talk about it. But the question is, like, is a little mortal like myself allowed to talk about it? What can I say and what can't I say is the legit question. And then you go to administrative measures, right? Like the quarantine. Now, I have seen people on Facebook getting banned for wanting to restart the economy. It's been 2 months of quarantine here in Romania. Let's assume, for the sake of the argument, that you're not allowed to want to restart the economy so people can get jobs and provide for their families. You're not allowed. That is haram. Okay. What about in 2 months? Like when exactly can we have the conversation? After how many times of isolation can we say, yeah, I think it's time that people go back out, kids have their faces in the sun? When can we say that? Do you see how difficult it is to have a political channel on a platform that has its own policies of what you are and what you aren't allowed to say? It's very interesting. Like, why the World Health Organization? Why not the CDC? This is something that I never understood. Like, what is the fascination with, like if you're an American-based company, why wouldn't you recommend the CDC? Like, do you think the CDC is inferior? In other countries, they have their own CDC equivalent. Why the World Health Organization? Like, it's not the thing that really annoys me is that it's not a medical organization. Like, some of their members are doctors, but they're politicians first and foremost. They're politicians. They're an arm of the United Nations. Why do you trust them over, I don't know, something like the CDC? I don't understand. But anyway, if you look at the track record of the World Health Organization, they already said that the Chinese authorities had seen, quote unquote, no clear evidence of human to human transmission of the coronavirus. And this is on January the 14th. Okay? So if in January the 14th we would have these rules into place, and the World Health Organization saying there's no evidence of human to human transmission, and I'm a doctor and I make a YouTube video and I say, yeah, this thing is kind of transmissible, then I would be in violation of YouTube guidelines, wouldn't I? I would be deleted, wouldn't I? But it's not only that. There's also, as I remember, at the University of Oxford, a person by the name of John Miltimore, which announced on Tuesday that it had stopped relying on the World Health Organization data for its models, according to several errors that they found. So if it says something like that on YouTube, is it still going to be allowed? Now, like, I never understood when we as a society, especially coming from America, when they think that censorship is the correct answer for everything. Like, misinformation is always going to exist in the world. You will not have a world where everyone thinks the correct thoughts. And in fact, a society like that wouldn't be a free society. A lot of people wouldn't think the correct thoughts, but they would just say the correct thoughts because they would know there is punishment if they say what they actually think. So it would be horrible. Now, I'm just analyzing this from a moral perspective because I constantly see the American press especially and American companies constantly advocating for silencing and censorship and, punishing anyone that doesn't think correctly. And I agree, misinformation can be harmful, but is censoring it the way to go? Because here is the problem. First of all, if I see someone pushing flat out misinformation, and I know that that thing can get you banned, I'm not going to risk the chance making a video debunking that information. Thinking that some guy that's hired at YouTube and is supposed to curate thousands of videos per day is going to look at my video debunking the misinformation and managing to make the correct distinction that my video is good and the video that I'm debunking is bad. I mean, look, it's so easy to debunk some of the misinformation, okay? Like, for example, if you say that 5G gives the virus, that is retarded. The way you can debunk it, take a culture of human cells, put it on a fucking antenna of 5G, just strap it up there, and see if the cells get the virus. Like, it's very simple. You can make an experiment. I can make a video telling that. Hell, I can even make the experiment if I pay someone that mounts 5G antenna to do this for me. But why risk it? Why make that video? Why put my livelihood in jeopardy? Because I don't know if someone is going to look at the video, is going to see, all right, the guy said 5G, the guy said the virus, clearly a conspiracy theorist. Okay, so you're already taking away the people's ability to fight against misinformation. And secondly, what's even worse is that if you're a person that's really paranoid, all right, like you're one of the craziest that legitimately think the government is up there to conspire and to infect the population or whatnot. When you see the censorship happening, you go like, you see, like I was right. The worst thing you can do to a person that's paranoid is to forbid them to talk about a subject, because that really confirms their paranoia. And like, again, I'm pointing this, like I never understood when the American public, like the nation that we here that used to be under the Iron Curtain would look towards freedom, when they are leading the charge for just stamping out information altogether. Like, you're not allowed to talk about this. And not to mention, like, it's not even going to work. Like, people are still going to talk about this in real life. I know it's difficult here on the internet to understand that there is a real life outside of the internet where people speak and talk without terms of service being weighted upon them. But that reality exists. So you're never going to just remove this misinformation. What you're going to do is you're going to drive people underground to have the conversation where you cannot have an input, and then they're going to self-radicalize, and they're going to appear already radicalized and convinced, and then you can't even change their minds about it. And finally, it's also about politics, right? Because a lot of people were going to say, well, if someone wants to restart the economy, then clearly they are pushing misinformation. It's like, I don't know what the misinformation is that if someone doesn't get to work after a couple of months, he's going to be starving, him and his family. And then you're going to have social... Like, what is the unscientific part around that? Even Fox News is talking about it. I can't believe I have to hide behind Fox News. It's like, yes, Fox News is talking about it, so I guess I can talk about it as well. But, again, like, what if some people come to the conclusion that they would rather get sick than starve to death? can I have a conversation around that controversy? Can I take a side? Do I need to just present it? Or can I say, yeah, I'm with these people or I'm with those? I mean, lately I've been noticing this trend that, maybe I'm wrong and I don't think I am, but I'm noticing it on Facebook. And on Facebook, it's very easy. When someone says something, you can go on their profile, you can see where they work, you can see who they are, you can get a general impression about that person. And they're basically saying something like, the conversation is whether people should go back to work or still stay in quarantine. And I've noticed that the biggest amount of people that want to go back to work are people who have lost their jobs during the last 2 months. While the people who want to stay home are people that can work from home or they're doing essential jobs. Isn't that interesting? So can I take part in this conversation or is it going to be censored? We don't know. And finally, we have the press, which always goes Pikachu face when the leader of the alleged free world calls them the enemy of the people, and literally no one rises up to defend them. And they're like posting things, it's like, oh yeah, we need to go full dictatorship now, we need to start bootlicking. Like bootlick like you never bootlicked before. That's the only way we can get rid of the pandemic. And I'm thinking, like, if I make a video, debunking that shit, because look, I'm in Eastern Europe. We don't have drones flying above people in order to survey them. We do not have the police being able to enter people's homes yet. Like, private property is still sacred. Like, we do not have the cops going around people's shopping bags to see what they have purchased, if it's essential or non-essential. And yet, with all that, without having any of those, we managed to keep the virus at a low. So if we can do it, why do you want to go full bootlicking? Like, clearly, there is a balance between giving government extra powers and giving government absolute complete control where they can, even Germany shut down this legislation, but the fact that it was proposed is interesting, to allow the government to listen into your phone calls in order to stop the virus. Like, can we have this cover? Are we allowed, or are we supposed to just, take it up the asshole? It's like, yeah, sure, just give all rights. You know what? The best way to fight the virus would be to be locked in a cell, in a 4x4 cell, with padded walls, being fed 3 times a day with a medical team there to assist you if you get sick. And that's it, complete isolation. No, seriously, like scientifically, like legitimately, there is no way to contract the virus if you're like in a 4x4 cell and you never interact with another human and you're just getting fed, right? But is that a life that is worth living? Like, would you want to live that life? Because there comes a question, like, and I hope there comes a question. Like, this is my hope as someone who lived under a tyrannical regime and a murderous regime. I hope there comes a question when people are going to say, it's like, is life worth living if we lose this and that liberty? But, like, for some people, it doesn't seem to come that question. Like, for some people, they put all their faith in the government. And you do realize that the government is another human being, okay? Like, it's not an AI. It's not some benevolent alien. It's not God. No, it's other human beings, just like you. They shit, they burp, they fart, and you want them to have power over you when they don't even know who you are. They wouldn't, like those people that you want to have power over you wouldn't give you money if you are stuck in a ditch. Like, if you are on the street homeless, they probably wouldn't even give you a penny. So why would you allow them to have, so much power? Like, again, in New Zealand. Like, I understand, like some sort of measures under a time of crisis, whether it be a natural disaster or whether it be warfare. Yes, like the government gets a little bit more power in order to go through the crisis. Like, if you're on a ship and there's a storm, right? The passengers go underneath and they let the sailors do their job. I understand that. But if the sailors are starting to come into your cabin and they're starting to go through your private things and they're starting to, there needs to be a limit, doesn't it? And can we talk about that limit? Just normal conversation, maybe I'm wrong and someone can say, no, V, look, you're wrong because X, Y, Z. But can we even have the conversation without being afraid of being yitted off YouTube? And it's not just YouTube, by the way. It's an entire collusion. Facebook does it. All the mainstream social media does it. So, yeah, I mean, I hear people talk shit in real life. I can easily debunk the information, but I'm not going to. Why would I? Why would I risk my channel? What is the point? I can talk about other things, right? There's other things that are interesting and people want to hear. But yeah, I just wanted to know people that it's happening. I want you to know why I'm not addressing certain topics. It's because I'm not allowed. Like, this is not my mom's company. It's a private company and it can do whatever it wants. I understand they're developing an app in order to combat the disease. I'm legitimately curious if the app is going to be mandatory in certain places. Because then the question comes, it's like, so if the government forces me to do business with a company, is that still a private company? Like if the government tells you that, no, you have to do business with them. Are they going to use my own taxpayer money to pay for the app? Like these are legitimate questions. Can I even ask them? Like maybe the answer is no to all of them. But can I ask them without getting into trouble? A lot of people talk about, oh, well, free speech. You see, only the government can restrict your right to free speech. And it's like, yeah, but I also think that things the government subsidizes and gives money and gives taxpayer cash to should be at least forced to compel to that country's way of thinking and morality. So if you're a free society, if you're a society based on liberty and allowing freedom of expression and freedom of speech, so would the company have to reflect those values, shouldn't it? Like, would it be okay for, I don't know, America to sponsor a company that uses child labor from another country? Would that be viewed as moral and okay? And then you have the question of publisher and platform. Like, initially, these companies were given the right to be a platform. Because people back then didn't even think that they're going to be able to monitor and police people with the way they are now. But clearly they are a publisher at this point. Like, they legitimately can say, you're not allowed to talk about this, and we're going to remove you if you do. And the question comes in the future, when this pandemic is over, because unfortunately for some people that are profiting out of this, it is going to be over. Will there be other topics we're not going to be allowed to talk about? Like topics of important relevance and stuff like that. Very dangerous. Like the thing that I find the most dangerous, though, is that the World Health Organization, when all of this started, didn't go to the US government, didn't go to CNN or Fox News, didn't go to MSNBC or any other mainstream media outlet to tell them what they can and can't publish. No, they got the social media giants because they understand where the conversation has moved now. They understand that this is where the average Joe and the average Susan likes to talk, on social media. They don't really care about the press. They don't really care about what the government has to say. What people want to do is interact with each other and talk. But it's really difficult to get an accurate pulse of what the population is thinking if you do not allow people of certain thought to even manifest themselves on the platform. Here's an example. On Twitter, misgendering is still banned by the terms of service, right? You can't misgender people. And if you talk against trans kids, you can also get your posts being suspended. In Britain, they just banned surgeries for trans kids. How did this happen? It came out of the blue. Like, you would think no one was asking for it if you're reading the Twitter. Well, you think no one is asking for it, because if they are asking for it, they would get banned. So again, like, notice how they are unable to participate in the conversation. And if you were a person that likes to live on Twitter, you wouldn't even know why these decisions are being made, because you've already alienated half the population. Anyway, rant over. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and I'll see you guys there.